It was the appointment of a sort of random new labor secretary, of all things, that got it going. It was 2017, first year of Trump's first term in office, and he picked a low-profile former federal prosecutor from Florida to be labor secretary. Not the flashiest of cabinet nominees, and not the flashiest of cabinet positions, forgive me. But, you know, who's ever heard of Alex Acosta? He was really not a household name. But there was an investigative reporter in Florida at the time who saw Acosta's name in the papers because of that nomination, and it really, really rang a bell for her. She had remembered that guy, back when he was U.S. attorney in Florida, his office had arranged a plea deal for a big finance guy. That finance guy wasn't exactly a household name either. But she thought there was a story there. At the time, there were allegations that this finance guy had done some really bad stuff, while this U.S. Attorney's Office, under Alex Acosta, for some reason, they'd let this guy off the hook with just a brief stint in the county jail. And it had raised some eyebrows in Florida when it happened, but it had been about a decade and nobody had looked at it. This one reporter in Florida decided that she would give this story a closer look. She did more than a year of very difficult investigative reporting looking into that case. And after more than a year, she published this. Quote, how a future Trump cabinet member gave a serial sex abuser the deal of a lifetime. That was the first of a three-part series from Miami Herald investigative reporter Julie K. Brown. It was published November 2018. That was the piece that made Trump Labor Secretary Alex Acosta a household name for the first time. It's also the reporting that made Jeffrey Epstein a household name. For her story, Julie K. Brown identified more than 80 of Epstein's alleged victims, dozens more than anybody had known about before. It was Julie K. Brown who revealed for the first time the full scope and nature of Epstein's alleged crimes. And that, of course, put fresh scrutiny on Trump's new labor secretary, Alex Acosta, whose office had let Epstein off the hook all those years ago with that inexplicable sweetheart deal in Florida. Brown's reporting was damning. It was also bulletproof, and it finally made it impossible to ignore what had happened to all those victims. Julie K. Brown published her revelations about Epstein, as I said, November 2018. 3 months later, a judge ruled that Acosta had broken the law when he did not notify the victims that he was giving Epstein that plea deal. Epstein was then arrested on federal child sex trafficking charges. Acosta had to resign as Trump's labor secretary. And here we are still today, 7 years later, still feeling the shockwaves of Julie K. Brown's reporting, her instincts, her reporting skills, her fearlessness in getting it into print. This past Friday was the deadline for DOJ to unseal all of its files related to Epstein. They were required by law, thanks to a bill passed by Congress and signed by President Trump, required by law to release all of the records in their possession, to only redact personal information that could invade privacy of any of the victims. This Friday, on that deadline, DOJ looked at that legal requirement and went, maybe some of it. The DOJ did not release all of the Epstein files on Friday, as they were legally compelled to do. They released only a small portion of them, and they were very, very heavily redacted. DOJ also inexplicably removed some of the documents after they initially posted them, including one photo that showed Donald Trump. After people pointed out they'd done that, they put it back without much of an explanation. In Julie K. Brown's recent reporting for the Miami Herald, she says Epstein's victims are upset by the heavy redactions, by the small amount of material that's been released. More than a dozen of Epstein's victims have now written to Congress saying they want hearings to make sure DOJ follows the law with the disclosure of these files. And Julie K. Brown's reporting continues. Look at this, just posted online a few hours ago by Julie Brown. Quote, in recent weeks, I have received a lot of new information about girls and young women who were, in fact, sexually trafficked to powerful men. This is not a hoax. Julie K. Brown joins us live here next. Stay with us.
It looks like an ordinary staircase, but as you age with occasional nerve discomfort that can feel like stabbing or pins and needles.
Severe stomach pain, nausea or vomiting, headache, light sensitivity, eye problems, irregular heartbeat, extreme tiredness, constipation, dizziness or fainting, changes in appetite,
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. In Colorado, hundreds of protesters gathered in Boulder Saturday to condemn the Trump administration's plan to dismantle the National Center for Atmospheric Research, NCAR, a federally funded climate and weather research institute based in Boulder. Last week, White House Budget Director Russell Vought called NCAR one of the largest sources of climate alarmism in the country, unquote. Democratic lawmakers have suggested Trump targeted the climate facility in retaliation for Colorado's refusal to release Tina Peters, a former county clerk convicted of tampering with voting machines during the 2020 presidential election. She was sentenced to 9 years. Trump recently pardoned her, but he doesn't have the legal authority to overturn a state court conviction. We're joined now by climate scientist Michael Mann, professor at the University of Pennsylvania. His new book with Dr. Peter Hotez is titled Science Under Siege. He has a new piece out today in The Guardian on Trump's shuttering of the National Center for Atmospheric Research. Can you talk about the significance, Michael, Professor Mann, of the closing? Are they closing this facility? What it means? I mean, even right now, as Colorado is under a wildfire alert because there has been so little rain and the winds are so intense.
Yeah, it's good to be with you, Amy. Unfortunately, this does sort of underscore just how absurd this latest action by the Trump administration is. We're literally seeing the devastating consequences of climate change play out in this state. You're not supposed to get wildfires in the middle of the winter in Colorado, but that's the world we live in now because of the warming of the planet and the more extreme weather that we're seeing as a result. And, you know, I think there are a lot of things that Donald Trump could have tried to do to hurt the state of Colorado. I think the reason that he chose NCAR is that it is the crown jewel of climate science. For more than a half century, it has been a leader when it comes to American advancement in the science of climate modeling. And he is executing the playbook of Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation, of course.
So much stuff.
Move past pain with Vicks VapoFreeze. Get hours of pain relief with maximum strength menthol, plus powerful Vicks Vapors.
College!
VapoFreeze your pain.
My UTIs were a recurring nightmare.
For the both of us.
Then we found support with Eucora.
Eucora has UTI relief products and science-backed supplements that offer a proactive approach to urinary health.
I finally feel free.
Try today at eucora.com.
Hey guys, Viagra is not your only option. Rose Sparks act fast and stay active longer. They aren't pills. Sparks dissolve under your tongue to reach your bloodstream for speedy results. Connect with a provider at ro.co/sparks.
This isn't your average pill. This is Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks is a fast-acting solution because it dissolves under your tongue.
Rose Sparks.
Guys, get started today.
Connect with a provider to find out if Rose Sparks are right for you.
Could you please submit your expenses today?
You could keep reminding your coworkers to submit their expenses. Or you could let Ramp do it. Never chase a receipt again. Ramp. Love finance.
Here's fresh reporting from Julie K. Brown on DOJ's botched release of the Epstein files this past Friday. She says, quote, the rollout did not go smoothly. Victims and the public were upset by the small amount of material, the heavy redactions, and the government's failure to place any documents in the proper context. The digital download included hundreds of photographs, none of them labeled, and did not include witness and victim statements made to the FBI. Quote, many of the redactions were of material that has previously been made public. Again, redactions of material that has previously been made public or that was supposed to be unsealed under the new law. Joining us now is Julie K. Brown, investigative reporter for the Miami Herald, and the woman who's reporting we can credit for knowing anything that we know about this story in the first place. Julie K. Brown, it is really nice to see you again. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Julie, what have you been hearing from some of the Epstein survivors since the release of these documents on Friday?
I think that it's starting really to turn into anger at this point, especially with a lot of these victims have found their own names that have been not redacted in some of this material that has come out. And they're quite frustrated because they see so many other redactions that are saying it almost appears as though the government made sure that they redacted the information that perhaps were clues or provided information about what happened in these cases or who was involved, but they didn't pay enough attention to making sure that they would protect the victims' identities.
Can you say more about what you posted online tonight? You said, in recent weeks, I've received a lot of new information about girls and young women who were, in fact, sexually trafficked to powerful men. This is not a hoax. Can you tell us more about what you mean there?
Well, a lot of these women, remember, this goes back 20 years. So a lot of them were quite young when this happened. And now, as this whole movement, this momentum has sort of snowballed, a lot of them are starting to talk to one another, and they've formed these groups and have been supporting each other. And more women are now coming forward and joining this group and talking to each other and bonding and helping with the effort to unseal these documents. So they've become stronger and stronger. They've created almost this movement together. And I think that has enabled them to start talking about exactly what their experiences were and who was trafficked to whom. And they just have similar experiences, and some of them have shared those experiences with me. They do not want to go public, largely because they distrust the government. Quite frankly, most of them do not believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. They feel that the whole investigation into his death was very, sloppy at best. And there's all other signs point to this distrust. The fact that Ghislaine Maxwell's been moved to this cushy prison now, that she had an interview with the Deputy Attorney General, who, by the way, hasn't ever interviewed the victims. So and then you put on top of that the pushback by Trump and his administration on even releasing these files. All these things add up to the fact that they feel that they can't trust the government. So they're starting to try to figure out a way to find justice on their own, quite frankly. And one of the ways they're doing that is to start talking to each other and supporting each other with the experiences that they had, and it's sort of a support group, if you will. And in the course of that, they're starting to feel more comfortable talking about these kinds of things that happened to them so many years ago that they were too traumatized in the past to talk about.
Well, the statements of the women who you're talking about and with whom you've been speaking have affected not just public perception here, but have also created a new political environment around the story. They have changed the political weather around this, including in a way that is, in some cases, bipartisan, something that seemed impossible before they did what they've done. If anything drives the release of more of these files, it's going to be them. Julie K. Brown, investigative reporter for the Miami Herald. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I also think that because they are now being finally listened to, that's another reason why I think the public is listening to them, people are believing them, and they are finding little bits and pieces here that also confirm some of their stories in these documents. So I think that is also helping them to move forward with pushing for more files to be released.
I think that's exactly right. And I should tell you, Lawrence O'Donnell is going to have much more on this story at the top of this hour, right after our show. Julie K. Brown from the Miami Herald. Thank you so much, Julie. It's nice to see you.
Thank you.
All right, we've got much more news ahead. Stay with us.
I know, there's a better day coming.
Alka-Seltzer Plus cold or flu fizzy chews. Chew, fizz. Feel better fast. No water needed. Seltzer Plus Fizzy Chews.
Downey showed this NFL mom a clip about her son.
You smell like hot dog water, boy.
We need to do something about that. Cameron Tyler, I'm gonna show you how to rinse that odor out.
That smells a lot better. Rinse impossible odors out in one wash.
Meet Will Markham, a true American hero. This decorated veteran earned the Silver Star.
I had more weight on me. I was in such extreme pain.
A revolving door. Keep things fresh. With Febreze Bathroom. It's an outlet-free air freshener that fights odors for 45 days. So even after every flush, you know your bathroom smells amazing. La, 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 la.
Get in. We're stealing homes. We're not like those other home criminals that steal your stuff. We steal your hard-earned home equity. We find your property online from the public record. Got it. Create a deed transfer that makes us the homeowners. Got it. And borrow tons of cash against your equity, and you won't know till the foreclosure notice hits months later.
You might already be a victim. Check your title status now at HomeTitleLock.com.
Every Sunday night, he can't sleep. But not this Sunday.
When you really need to sleep, ZzzQuil has no equal. Get the deeply restorative sleep you need. ZzzQuil, not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep.
Hate has always tried to divide us, to oppress our civil and human rights. But when we rise together, shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart, from coast to coast, we're stronger than hate. And together, we can wield our power to demand justice and equality for all Americans. With help from friends like you, the Southern Poverty Law Center has been leading this fight for more than 50 years, fighting hate, challenging injustice, and standing up against discrimination. But the threats we face right now are real and growing. Our rights are under attack. Again, communities are being targeted, not just by individuals, but by the systems that are supposed to protect us. But we're not powerless. Because together, we're stronger. And we know the people have the power to overcome. So please, join the movement for justice, equity, and democracy. Call now or go online to helpfighthate.org to become a friend of the center. All it takes is just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day.
In these challenging times, Southern Poverty Law Center stands with you to fight for justice, equity, and human rights. We take on injustice in the courtroom, we speak out in the halls of power, we organize in communities across the country. And with you by our side, we will not fail.
United, we are a force for change, for courage, for compassion, for a better tomorrow. Your monthly support helps us fight hate and extremism and build stronger communities. So please, call or go to helpfighthate.org and join us. When you use your credit card, you'll receive this special Fight Hate t-shirt to show you're fighting for justice for all, for mothers and fathers, for neighbors and friends, for students, teachers, workers, for all of us. Because when we stand together, hate doesn't stand a chance. And with your support, we will overcome. Call or go online to helpfighthate.org today.
Are you one of the millions of Americans who suffer from an upset stomach after a big meal? Try Pepto-Bismol. Unlike some products, Pepto coats and soothes your digestive system to provide fast 5-symptom relief. Stock up on Pepto today.
Here's Democratic Senator Brian Schatz of Hawaii. Here's how he put it. He said, quote, "What's happening to CBS is a terrible embarrassment. And if executives think they can build shareholder value by avoiding journalism that might offend the Mad King, they're about to learn a tough lesson. This is still America, and we don't enjoy bullpucky like this." Senator Brian Schatz did not use the word pucky, but he otherwise neatly summed up the fiasco that is unfurling over the loud objections of our respected colleagues and competitors at CBS News right now. It was just hours before 60 Minutes was going to air an in-depth piece on the alleged abuse and torture suffered by men who Trump sent to a brutal prison in El Salvador, when CBS News' newly installed editor-in-chief spiked the story and wouldn't let it run. This newly hired conservative blogger, commentator, turned news executive said she was holding the story for a later date because she believed it was not ready. The journalist who produced the segment, in a note to her colleagues that was published by the New York Times, called the decision to pull the story, quote, political. You'll recall it was only a few months ago that CBS and its parent company were bought by the family of one of Trump's billionaire supporters. And as part of the Trump administration's approval of that deal, CBS's new owners promised to install a Trump-friendly conservative minder to keep an eye on the CBS newsroom. They also installed this new editor-in-chief, who is now being accused by the journalists she oversees of politically interfering in their work. The reason this is causing a revolt is because this is how, bit by bit, the free press, the independent American news organizations that give us a free press, instead become state TV. And that is a matter not just for the billionaires who are playing with these things for their own benefit and the executives who have decided to enable them. It's also a matter of public interest. It's a matter of national interest. Earlier this month, Congressman Jamie Raskin wrote to CBS News and asked them to account for edits that appeared to have been made to a 60 Minutes interview at President Trump's request. He said, quote, "It's one thing for CBS to make independent editorial decisions protected by the First Amendment. It's quite another to make edits at the president's demand out of fear of retribution. The American people deserve to know whether their news is shaped by journalistic judgment or by Donald Trump. The American people deserve to know." Joining us now is Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland. He's the top Democrat on the Judiciary Committee in the House. Sir, it's nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
You bet.
You're a constitutional law professor in addition to being a member of Congress. Can you explain in non-lawyers' terms why it is a matter of national interest, a matter of our governance and our democracy, what happens at a privately owned news organization?
Well, every ruler in the world would love to be able to control what private TV or private newspapers are publishing about them. And Donald Trump is using his power over the Federal Communications Commission to make it possible for him to have minders, either formally denominated minders or people like Barry Weiss who are just going to do his bidding. And it's better really than state TV. It's state-controlled corporate TV, so they can continue to make, millions or billions of dollars on it. But at the same time, they will not veer anywhere away from the politically correct official line of the government. And that's exactly what we're seeing in this really shocking episode related to 60 Minutes and the CCOT torture prison in El Salvador.
In what ways are companies like CBS or Paramount or any of the parent companies involved here accountable to their shareholders, accountable to Congress, accountable to the people if they decide to be part of a plot like this by the government?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, we haven't quite dealt with a situation like this before, and we're going to have to explore what are the different avenues for demanding accountability. But right now, because of the sort of muscle that Trump is using over the FCC to control mergers and to extract particular points of concession from different broadcast networks, he's gaining real control over a lot of them, and others he's gaining control over through different kinds of coercive manipulations, and a lot of them are just giving in. So it would take some shareholders of the different companies to begin to raise the issue, and it will take other truly independent media entities such as your own blowing the whistle on this, and maybe that would shame or humiliate someone like Barry Weiss into acting like a real journalist as opposed to a reporter on the payroll of Vladimir Putin in Moscow. And that's basically what's going on right now. They are acting like state-controlled TV entities that are part of an inside power operation.
Congressman, I wanted to ask you about some news that's broken since we've been on the air tonight. A federal judge has just ruled that the Trump administration denied due process to the men it deported to this prison in El Salvador, the subject of this 60 Minutes piece that we're talking about. For those men who are still in that prison or who were sent abroad by the administration in that way, the judge is giving the government 2 weeks to either facilitate their return to the United States or otherwise provide them with hearings. I just wanted to get your reaction to that ruling tonight.
Well, it's a necessary and very positive ruling, and I got to say that Judge Boasberg, who was originally a Bush appointee to the bench, has been very much of a hero in terms of upholding the due process rights of these Venezuelans who were sent overwhelmingly without evidence to El Salvador, simply claiming that they're members of criminal gangs, which the vast majority of them were not. And then they were subjected to truly brutal, cruel, 24/7 humiliation and torture there. They were told when they arrived at that prison, there's no day, there's no night here, this is hell, welcome to hell, and you will never leave. So just brutal, totalitarian conditions. Finally, Venezuela was able to negotiate an exchange of prisoners to get them out of Salvador and back to Venezuela. But because they haven't had any due process, we literally don't know who these people were. Some of them may have been legally, lawfully present in the United States, but there was no opportunity to hear anything. I mean, that's what due process is about. They're the two most beautiful words in the Constitution, maybe the two most beautiful words in the whole English language, because they separate people's liberty and their freedom from the arbitrary power of the state. I had a Republican say to me on the floor the other day, well, you're not saying you're for due process for guilty people, are you? And I said, that's the whole point. We don't know if they're guilty until there's been due process. So Judge Boasberg has both tried to hold the government in contempt for disregarding his order, telling them to turn the planes around, and then he's also insisting that these people have due process hearings. Now, who knows whether the court will, in fact, an appeals court will order that they come back to the states for this hearing, or if it be done on Zoom. Who knows how they're going to work it out. But good for Judge Boasberg that he's actually taking the Constitution seriously.
Congressman Jamie Raskin, good to have you here tonight, sir. Thank you. We'll be right back.
And Doug.
There it is, Limu, the 50-yard line. Soon we'll be telling the whole stadium how Liberty Mutual customizes car insurance to save people hundreds. Whoa. Ah. Looks like we're walking. We'll get them at halftime. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
It looks like an ordinary staircase, but as you age with occasional nerve discomfort that can feel like stabbing or pins and needles in your hands and feet, sometimes stairs can bring worry. As a retired physician, I've seen it in my patients, but I didn't truly understand it until I got older myself. So now, I take Nervive.
Nervive reduces occasional nerve discomfort. It combines neurotropic B vitamins with a clinically studied amount of ALA, which reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days in your hands and feet. Nervive comes from the makers of the world's #1 nerve care brand.
With Nervive, I'm sleeping great, and my days start with less occasional burning in my hands and feet. I'm moving through my house with confidence, and I'm getting around town. Getting older happens, but living with occasional nerve discomfort doesn't have to. Try Nervive like I did, and get your freedom back.
Find Nervive at these retailers near you. Feel confident with Nervive.
I'm Eric. I'm a pilot. When I'm congested, I can't breathe. I can't sleep. But I can't tell my passengers I can't fly today. That's why I Navage. I've tried nasal sprays, but with Navage, I have the power to remove congestion fast by flushing out germs, mucus, bacteria, and viruses through powered suction in like 30 seconds. I can see the results. I can feel the results.
This cold season, get #1 doctor-recommended Navage. Available online and in store.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
Sur La Table has it all. Even if your idea of la yum 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 is la open the box, Sur la table, for those who love to cook in the kitchen.
One last thing. Statistically speaking, there's a pretty good chance you may find yourself on a train or in a plane or in an automobile in the next few days, maybe. If you're looking for something to listen to on your travels, I will just give you this reminder that my new podcast, which is called Rachel Maddow Presents Burn Order, is out now. All 6 episodes are out. It is free on any podcast app, or you can listen directly online at ms.now/burnorder. That's it. Just a reminder. That does it for me tonight. Now it is time for the last word with the great Lawrence O'Donnell. Good evening, Lawrence.
Good evening, Rachel. And my brother, who is 35,000 feet somewhere up there in the sky, is listening to it right now, listening to your podcast right now. So there's one. There's one.
Hi, Lawrence. Hi, one of Lawrence's brothers.
Yeah, okay. And Rachel, we are continuing with the coverage that you were doing in this hour about the Epstein files. We're going to be joined by 2 Epstein survivors as our first guests tonight. Marina Lacerda and Jenna Lisa Jones are going to be here to tell us exactly what their reaction is to what has been released so far, and perhaps more importantly at this point, what has not been released.
Indeed. I'm really, really glad you're doing that, Lawrence. Can't wait to see it.
Thanks, Rachel. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, of course, they are bad at the cover-up. Donald Trump doesn't have to worry about how well a cover-up of the Epstein files is executed by his Justice Department, because the United States Supreme Court has made Donald Trump the very first president in history to have immunity from criminal prosecution for anything he does as president of the United States. Because the Supreme Court knew that presidential immunity did not exist in the Constitution when Richard Nixon was president, Republican Richard Nixon knew that he could face criminal prosecution for his cover-up of the Watergate burglary and other crimes that he committed while he was president, and that's why he got a pardon from President Gerald Ford after his vice president Gerald Ford became president, after Richard Nixon resigned from the presidency. Richard Nixon knew he needed that pardon. Everyone working for Donald Trump knows that they do not have the same immunity that the Supreme Court gave to Donald Trump, and everyone working for Donald Trump should know that Richard Nixon's White House chief of staff, his White House counsel, his attorney general, and dozens of other people working for Richard Nixon were convicted of crimes and sent to prison. And so, if you are Donald Trump's criminal defense lawyer, Todd Blanche, and if you are now managing a cover-up of the Epstein files in your position as the Trump deputy attorney general, you know that only Donald Trump can grant you immunity from prosecution for anything you do as deputy attorney general. Donald Trump can do that by issuing a blanket pardon to everyone working for him that would in effect give them the same immunity Donald Trump already knows that he has. And so Donald Trump's attorney general and Donald Trump's deputy attorney general are blissfully violating federal law tonight, as they have been every night since Friday, by refusing to release all of the Epstein files. They know Donald Trump can pardon them for any federal crime they might commit. When asked about the Epstein files today, Donald Trump said, "They are asking me questions about Jeffrey Epstein. I thought that was finished." Those were his exact words. If Donald Trump really thought that was finished, that would be more public evidence of Donald Trump's neurological decline. But it seems that it was really just a standard Trump lie, just like the other lie Donald Trump told about Jeffrey Epstein today. Donald Trump said, quote, "Everybody was friendly with this guy." That is a lie. Most rich people in New York had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein back when Donald Trump was publicly calling Jeffrey Epstein a terrific guy.
Now, my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, "I'm sorry, we have to go." And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again. So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going, because he's gross.
He lived next door to Jeffrey Epstein. would have nothing to do with them. Donald Trump's incompetent and clownish Secretary of Commerce lived next door to Jeffrey Epstein, and he refused to have anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein. So no, everybody was not friendly with that guy. Donald Trump was very friendly with that guy. And at the height of Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse of children and sex trafficking, Donald Trump said in 2002, "I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." The younger side. How many 48-year-old men do you know who invite 14-year-old girls to their parties? Jeffrey Epstein did that, and so did the 48-year-old Donald Trump. The New York Times reports that Donald Trump held parties at his home in Florida where he invited 14-year-old girls. Tina Davis, who worked with Ford models in the mid-1990s, said in an interview that her Ford booker instructed her to get dressed up and attend a Mar-a-Lago party in late 1994. Just 14 and new to Miami, she was told to dress sexy, according to her mother, Sandra Coleman, who had accompanied her to Florida. 8 or 9 other models came along on the bus. All the girls were really young, Ms. Coleman recalled in an interview. Some of them could have been in training bras. When they arrived at Mar-a-Lago, Ms. Coleman said her daughter was promptly handed a glass of champagne. She took it away, but waiters kept offering more. Each time one of the middle-aged men at the party approached her daughter, Ms. Coleman would walk over and introduce herself as Ms. Davis's mother. During a trip to the bathroom, they ran into Mr. Trump's new wife, whom they had met earlier. Marla Maples clasped her hands, Ms. Coleman recalled, and looked her in the eye. "Whatever you do, do not let her around any of these men, and especially my husband," she told Ms. Coleman. "Protect her." 14 years old, invited to Donald Trump's home, handed champagne repeatedly. Unlike her former husband, Donald Trump, Marla Maples, Donald Trump's second wife, responded to New York Times inquiries about that story. The New York Times reports Ms. Maples denied making the comment, "I would always protect young women in any way I could," she said, "but I am sure I didn't specifically say that about my daughter's father." Donald Trump's second wife, Marla Maples, received a substantial financial settlement in her divorce from Donald Trump. The Times reports Mr. Epstein was a frequent guest at Mar-a-Lago parties. A woman who said Mr. Epstein trafficked her in the late 1990s and early 2000s recalled attending at least a half a dozen of the parties beginning when she was 17. She told the New York Times that the invitations she received when she was 17 were, quote, "to be Donald Trump's guest at Mar-a-Lago." According to one invitation she shared with the Times, the parties were open bar and no one checked IDs. She said Mr. Trump was always all over them, she recalled. A 20-year-old model who attended a Trump party at Mar-a-Lago told the New York Times, "I had a glass of champagne and I immediately felt not well," Ms. Brock recalled, adding, "I thought my drink had been spiked." According to the New York Times reporting, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein attended parties at each other's homes. The Times reports one of the women, who has never before spoken publicly about the experience, told the Times that Mr. Epstein had coerced her into attending 4 parties at Mr. Epstein's home. Mr. Trump attended all 4, the woman said. At 2 of them, she said, Mr. Epstein directed her to have sex with other male guests. In an email among those released by Congress in November, Mr. Epstein boasted that he gave Mr. Trump a 20-year-old woman whom Mr. Epstein dated in the 1990s. In a 2010 deposition, Mr. Epstein was asked if he had ever socialized with Mr. Trump with girls under 18, and he did more than 3 dozen times during the deposition. Mr. Epstein invoked his constitutional right not to answer. At one of those parties, here's how Jeffrey Epstein introduced himself. Quote, "I'm Jeffrey. I'm Don's best friend." That's how Jeffrey Epstein introduced himself to a beauty pageant contestant at one of Donald Trump's hotels. That contestant, Beatrice Kuhl, told the New York Times, quote, "One of Mr. Trump's employees asked her to meet privately with him in a suite upstairs. Almost as soon as she arrived," Ms. Kuhl said, "Mr. Trump began groping her, kissing her, and trying to lift her dress. I yelled, I screamed, I pushed him," she said. "He didn't want to give up." She said she was withholding some details of what happened because she had been subject to anonymous threats. Ms. Kuhl also provided the Times with pictures of documents corroborating her participation in the pageant and of herself with Mr. Trump. So that is a case of sexual assault by Donald Trump that has not previously been reported, that was reported there by the New York Times and not denied by Donald Trump when given an opportunity by the New York Times. Donald Trump has not been charged with anything connected with Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. Marina Lacerda spoke publicly for the first time outside of the Capitol on September 3rd.
My name is Marina Lacerda. I was minor victim 1 in federal indictment of Jeffrey Epstein in New York in 2019. I was one of dozens of girls that I personally know who were forced into Jeffrey's mansion on 9 East 71 Street in New York City when we were just kids. Today is the first time that I ever speak publicly about what happened to me.
Over a period of years, Epstein also encouraged and enticed minor victim 1 to recruit other girls to engage in paid sex acts, which she did. Epstein asked minor victim 1 how old she was, and minor victim 1 answered truthfully. She was 14 years old. Jenna Lisa Jones was also 14 years old.
I was only 14 years old when my friend brought me over to Jeffrey Epstein's house in Palm Beach in 2003. I had a terrible home life, but I was such an innocent kid then. I always did my best in school, and I had such a positive outlook on life. Until that day that I met Jeffrey, I have never been more scared in my life. Positive outlook on life. Until that day that I met Jeffrey, I have never been more scared in my life than I remember crying the entire way home, thinking about how I couldn't ever tell anyone about what actually happened in that house. This guy was so rich and had so many pictures with so many famous people, and no one would have ever believed me if I told them.
Congressman Ro Khanna believed her. Congressman Thomas Massie believed her, and the other survivors of Jeffrey Epstein who came to Washington. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene believed her and the other survivors. And together, those members of Congress are able to pass a law which ultimately passed in the House of Representatives almost unanimously, then passed the Senate unanimously, which requires the Trump Justice Department to release all of the Epstein files. The 14-year-old girls who were sure no one would believe them were finally heard this year, and their voices have changed the course of history. Joining us now, Jenna Lisa Jones and Marina Lacerda. They both met Jeffrey Epstein when they were 14 years old. Jenna Lisa, thank you very much for joining us once again. Please tell us how you're feeling, what you're thinking after a weekend after the first release of this tiny amount of the Epstein files.
I'm feeling pretty overwhelmed, a lot of emotions. I've been going through these files like every other person out there right now. Even had to wait to get onto the website to start looking at them. But as going through them, seeing how they haven't been redacted properly for the survivors, and just reading them is really heartbreaking to see that they didn't do their job properly. And it just is a reminder of what we've been dealing with for so long, and it's just really heartbreaking over and over again.
Marina, what are you feeling tonight? What have you been thinking as you've had the weekend with the Epstein files first release?
Well, I think all of us survivors are feeling very frustrated that the DOJ did not do their job correctly. I mean, they had one job here. It was to redact the victim's name. And it seems like they're protecting the wrong people here.
As we go forward, Jenna Lisa, let me ask both of you, but start with Jenna Lisa. What are you hoping happens next?
Well, I hope that they get held accountable for not doing the full release of these files, however that may look. I mean, they had the job to release all of them. They should be held accountable for not doing the redactions properly. It's just very frustrating that we even are sitting here having to see, like, what are we going to do next? They should have done their job properly. They knew that this was coming. This is just a joke. It's once again a slap in the face to all of us.
Marina, I'm thinking about, go ahead, Marina, please.
I feel the same way. This has become a circus act. It is something that the whole world is waiting for at this point. And here we are again, protecting the wealthy elite men. It is ridiculous at this point, and we are tired of it, but we will not stop fighting for this.
Jenna Lisa, the redactions were not complete, so there are some survivors whose names have appeared now for the first time publicly, who didn't want their names. They hadn't made the decision that you'd made, the difficult decision to go public. And the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, on television yesterday said that if they had released names of victims and survivors that had not been released before or released them at all, that would be a crime. He said that would be the true crime. But he actually committed the true crime against some of the people whose names were released against their will.
Yeah, he definitely did. I found numerous girls that I was friends with that I didn't even know that were victims of Jeffrey Epstein's on my own. And I know for a fact that they would not want their names out there. And I think it's heartbreaking. I mean, I cried last night reading their names because I know how hard this is. And to not have a choice whether your name is released or not is just, it's a crime. And people need to be punished for it now.
So, Jenna Lisa, take us through that. You're reading the files, and was that one of the things that you thought might be possible, that you might actually discover that people involved, victims involved that you didn't know were involved?
Oh yeah, because Palm Beach, I mean, and the high schools and all of us, it's like somehow everyone kind of knows everyone. And it was such a hush hush thing that your group of friends you thought it was only your group of friends, right? So seeing some of these girls' names that I had went to high school with, and later on, even once we had kids, it's just really horrific to see because it's just something we didn't know about each other. And now I know that about them. And I feel so sad because they didn't ask for this. And they're getting thrown into this circus act.
Marina, have you had any similar surprises in anything you've seen in the Epstein files?
I have not found anybody that I know. I have not searched either. I think I've been so deep in searching for what I've tried to come across that has to do with me. But I do have to agree with Jenna Lisa. There has been a lot of survivors named that I don't know them, but it is very sad to say that their names are out there. And even the survivors' names that are out there, we do not want our information out there. It is so, I mean, like Jenna Lisa said, it is another slap in our faces. We have asked for the DOJ to do a simple job. It is to redact our names. And it almost feels like they did this on purpose.
Yeah.
To talk about that, Marina, go ahead. Expand on that a little bit. So you're reading it and you see this information that you know shouldn't be there. You are, in effect, complainers already about this Justice Department. You have brought your complaint forward over the months saying, we want the Epstein files released. You know they didn't want to release it. You know that they basically considered you their political opponents of the day who they somehow were trying to overwhelm. And then when they actually do release some material, they do it in a way that you're saying feels to you like they're actually trying to harm you and get back at you for what you've demanded.
You know, they can try. but this only makes us stronger. It's just like when they called us a hoax, it gave us more of a voice, it gave us a stronger voice. And this is why I say we will not stop fighting. And the DOJ or, whoever's working on this, because right now we are all confused. It is so many different people, they're blaming one person, another, Todd Blanche, the DOJ, right? We're looking at this as survivors like, can you guys do your job correctly? This is, we were humans. We were children at one point. I know everybody looks at us as grown women, but we have to look at ourselves as 14, 15, 16-year-old, and we have to remind ourselves again that women in their 30s and their 40s as well get groomed and get sexually abused and raped. So we asked the DOJ to do their job. It was very simple. It is to redact our names and to bring these men to justice. We've had enough. It is 2025. Why are we even wasting our time and America's money on this? It's ridiculous.
Jenna Lisa, in terms of protecting people who have not come forward, who've not made the decision you've made, talk a little bit about what it's like to make that decision, to say, I'm going to go public into this battle over what Jeffrey Epstein did. I'm going to have my name be public. That's a very, very difficult decision to make. And when you make it, you obviously know that you are representing hundreds of girls who are not going to come forward to tell the story of what happened to them. And that's a confidentiality I think we can all respect. Whenever we hear from any of you, we have to understand that you are a representative of hundreds of other survivors who are out there who are hoping that you can do this for them.
Yeah, I mean, we're out here. There are many survivors that we are in contact that aren't out publicly, that are support behind the scenes for us, that also motivate us to keep fighting and striving to keep this going, to get the justice that we all deserve. I mean, just because someone doesn't put their face out there doesn't mean that they're not there. And that's why we speak so much harder and so much louder now as a collective, is because there is numbers. There's so many of us behind the scenes that haven't came forward, and we're protecting them, we're shielding them, and we're trying to shield them, and we're trying to get justice for all of them, all of us. But it just seems like every time we think we're in the right step in the right direction, the government goes and does something else and lets us down. And this should have been cut and dry once again, and it wasn't. And it's just a circle of abuse. And I think everyone also forgets that when we're going through this continuously, that this is an emotional and re-traumatizing all the time. And this is not just re-traumatizing of what happened to us. We're being re-traumatized by our government. And that speaks volumes, because we're supposed to be the most wonderful place. This is the United States of America. We should be taking and protecting our children. And this seems like this is the hardest thing to do.
Jenna Lisa Jones and Marina Lacerda, one of the standard things that I do here is thank guests for joining the program. I'm, of course, thankful for you for doing that, but I can't do it in the standard way. I have to let you know that I'm very, very sorry that this is the subject that we are meeting on, that this is the subject that has brought us into this public conversation together. I'm very sorry for what happened to you, and I'm sorry that you have to be here tonight to fight for what you're hoping you can achieve here. Thank you both very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you. And coming up, Attorney Bradley Edwards, who has represented hundreds of Epstein survivors, will join us with Congressman Ro Khanna, who is a co-author of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, the law that Donald Trump's Justice Department is willfully violating tonight. That's next.
So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking about our honeymoon. What about Africa? Safari. Swim with elephants. Hot air balloon. Lions growling in the giraffes that come in through your window.
Wait, can we afford a safari? Great question. Like everything, it takes a little planning.
Or put the money towards a down payment.
With enough room for a baby?
Babies.
baby.
Let's take a look at those scenarios.
JP Morgan Wealth Management has advisors in Chase branches and tools like Wealth Plan to help keep you on track. When you're planning for it all, the answer is JP Morgan Wealth Management.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Lee, and we live in North Pole, Alaska.
I was noticing my hearing was not so good, so I got hearing aids. My vision was not as good as it used to be. Got a change in prescription, but I was missing something for my brain. I saw a Prevagen commercial, and I thought that makes sense.
I observed the changes in Steve. I thought I should try that too.
After taking Prevagen, I just didn't have to work so hard.
Prevagen has been the #1 selling brain supplement nationwide for over 10 years.
Is your body sending you an SOS? If you have high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes, your kidneys could be warning you about increased risks like heart attack or stroke. Don't miss the hidden signal. Ask your doctor about a UACR urine test.
You're going to do a Neil Diamond show? A Neil Diamond experience. This Christmas. Celebrate the joy of the season.
It's good.
With the perfect holiday movie. So good. Song Blue, rated PG-13. Only in theaters this Christmas.
If it hurts you to watch this, you'll want to hear this. The eczema medication you're taking may not be right for you. Visit myrawtruth.com and talk to your dermatologist about your symptoms and treatment options.
Big day, everybody. That's the spirit. We're having lots of fun.
What's going on?
Oh, the Homes.com network just hit 100 million visitors.
Yeah, we get that every month.
Party every month, everybody! I don't know how to change the song on this. Homes.com, the place to find a place.
Every Sunday night, he can't sleep. But not this Sunday.
When you really need to sleep, ZzzQuil has no equal. Get the deeply restorative sleep you need. ZzzQuil, not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep.
Don't let congestion take over. Afrinotrin. Wow, ridiculously fast nasal congestion relief. The wow is real.
And now, try new drug-free Afrin Saline.
Hey, Jen. Yeah, look, it's you. It's your pain and congestion. It's all there.
No, I beat my pain and congestion with new Mucinex Rapid and Clear.
Wait, what? Ah, time out, time out!
Beat pain, congestion, and headaches. New Mucinex Rapid and Clear.
This isn't your average pill. This is Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks is a fast-acting solution because it dissolves under your tongue.
Rose Sparks.
Guys, get started today.
Connect with a provider to find out if Rose Sparks are right for you.
La 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 la.
La 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 la.
Sur La Table has it all. Even if your idea of la yum 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 is la open the box. Sur La Table, for those who la love to cook in the kitchen.
Our next guests, attorney Brad Edwards and Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna, were both guests on this program on July 23rd of this year, when Brad Edwards suggested Congress could subpoena Jeffrey Epstein's estate for the Epstein birthday book that included a message from Donald Trump.
Congress could issue a subpoena to their attorneys at Patterson or at Troutman. Those are the two law firms. I know those attorneys. They would turn the book over immediately. Nobody would have to guess. There wouldn't need to be a lawsuit. There wouldn't have to wait to be discovery. You would immediately have the answers. You could flip to the page. Is there a letter? Is there not a letter? It's over.
That was a bombshell revelation by Bradley Edwards. I appreciate your having me on to hear that. It's important what he said, that we have to center the victims in this. And it's important to hear what he believes the victims want, which is the full, complete release of the Epstein files.
Joining us now is Democratic Congressman O'Connor of California. He is a member of the House Oversight Committee. Also with us is Attorney Bradley Edwards. He is a Florida attorney who has represented hundreds of Epstein victims. He is the author of Relentless Pursuit. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Congressman Khanna, it is your law that is being violated tonight. What can be done about that?
Well, first, it's an honor to be on with Bradley Edwards. Him being on your show really made this whole thing happen because he introduced me to the survivors, and it was their courage, their coming to the steps of the Capitol that led to the passage of the law. Here's what I find so discouraging and heartbreaking. The Justice Department has spent more time protecting the rich and powerful men who abuse the survivors than they have protected the survivor's identity. There's one case where they revealed the survivor's name, but they still are not revealing the FBI file that she has requested with the information about who abused her. And we know from one of the documents that was released, a new document in 2019, an email, that there were 10 co-conspirators. But they're not releasing the information about this. They're not releasing some simple things like the FBI witness interviews with the survivors, which would tell us which other men are involved. But Massey and I are going to continue the fight. The survivors are going to fight. We're going to see that justice is done.
Bradley Edwards, what else is in the Epstein files that you know they could release?
Well, currently they haven't released anything. I mean, literally nothing. The only thing they've done is placed a bunch of pretty random documents from court files onto the internet so that people can start searching them. And since there's a volume of them, make people believe that they've released something. They've released nothing. So what you start with is 302s. Those are FBI statements of witnesses, victims, where they have named who are the abusers, who are the co-conspirators, what did Jeffrey Epstein do, and when did he do it. Then look at the 2006-2007 investigation that the FBI did. Marie Villafana, a great prosecutor, prepared a 53-page indictment in 2007, along with an 82-page Pross memo at the same time. We have never seen it to this day, and the public still doesn't have it. No explanation whatsoever. 2011, they interviewed Virginia Roberts. She gave a detailed 302. We only have the redacted version. It's not even out there yet. 2019, countless 302 statements. They confiscated hard drives from Epstein's home that have all of his emails. They have his schedules. They tell you who he talked to, why he talked to them, when he talked to them. Nothing. Literally no part of the investigation is there yet. The other part of the act was make sure no victims' names are released to the public because this is all about the victims and we have to protect them. There's countless victims who have been outed, who never wanted to be outed. And what nobody knows is, I saw this coming, wrote a letter to 2 judges, said this is going to happen. The judges told the Department of Justice, don't do that. Work with Brad Edwards and make sure this doesn't happen. We then provided the Department of Justice with a full list of all of the victims' names, said redact all of them before anything goes on the internet. Didn't happen. So they've released no files, no investigative files to comply with the act, and they've released all kinds of victims' names. The only thing they could really do now is take it all down, what they put out there is trash, and start doing what they're supposed to do.
Bradley Edwards, when you saw this and read this, in your judgment as a lawyer, did this feel like just incompetence, or how they exposed these survivors, or did it feel like something else?
It's funny that you say that because one of the survivors wrote to me and says, look, you're always standing up for the administration and giving them the benefit of the doubt. Are you going to say once again this is just simple incompetence, or do you agree that's intentional malfeasance? That was literally what I got today. Look, the one document that I had never seen before is one that Maria Farmer claims she made a complaint back in 1996, and we've all believed her and have tried to get it for 30 years, and we didn't get it. But that document did show up. It wasn't investigated. It was under Clinton. So I'm guessing that's the reason that we got that one document. Outside of that, there's been absolutely nothing about any of the investigations that have happened related to Jeffrey Epstein. I have met with lawyers that work for DOJ and SDNY. They're not incompetent, so I guess that just leaves no other no other possibility. I mean, we have to start thinking. If you're not doing your job, you're not following the law, you're not incompetent, this has to be intentional. It's an affront to the victims. It needs to stop now, like tonight.
We need to squeeze in a commercial break here. When we come back, I just want to ask, do you believe that this release of information and personal information about victims and survivors is being done deliberately to try to intimidate them and to try to silence them? We'll be right back with Congressman Ro Khanna and attorney Brad Edwards.
Right now, living with COPD is hard, but more could be going on. And here is how you find out. Your COPD may be different, and Nucala could help. The inflammation triggering your flare-ups could be caused by eosinophils. Nucala helps target that inflammation. And it's the only once-monthly auto-injector for COPD you can do right at home. Picture less flare-ups and less flare-up-related hospital visits. Nucala is an add-on injection for uncontrolled COPD with a specific marker of inflammation. Nucala is not for sudden breathing problems. Allergic reactions can occur, including anaphylaxis. Get help right away for swelling of face, mouth, tongue, or trouble breathing. Infections that can cause shingles have occurred. Don't stop other medicines, including steroids, unless told by your doctor. Tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection. May cause back pain, diarrhea, and cough. Right now, it may be time for something different. Ask your doctor about Nucala.
My car insurance bill doubled?
You should try Insurify. In just a few clicks, you can compare rates from dozens of insurance companies. And you could...
I just got the same coverage for half the price.
Hey, that's what I was going to say. Go to Insurify.com and save up to $1,000 a year on your car insurance.
Are you one of the millions of Americans who suffer from an upset stomach after a big meal? Try Pepto-Bismol. Unlike some products, Pepto coats and soothes your digestive system to provide fast 5-symptom relief. Stock up on Pepto today.
So, AI agents are your team's new helpers. Hey, you must be Buddy. And to do their jobs, they need a lot of access. So, I just gotta know, are you okay with all that access? Of course you are, because you secured your agent's identity with Okta. So you'll feel good turning it loose to do its job, knowing the right controls are in place. Ooh, sorry, buddy. That one's not for you. Sometimes my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis gets in my way. But thanks to Skyrizi, I'm free to bare my skin.
It's getting clearer. I feel free to bare my skin. Yeah, that's on me.
With Skyrizi, I saw dramatically clearer skin. And many people were 100% plaque-free. Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is everything.
Now's the time. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
We're standing up for our right to be lazy.
By sitting down.
And reclining back.
We work full-time and we parent full-time.
We will be reclined until further notice.
It's our right to let the dishes soak overnight.
And to mow the lawn tomorrow, wish.
We proudly declare that, yes, we are still watching that.
And no, we won't be cooking tonight.
We, the lazy, are taking back lazy.
By getting comfy on our Lazy Boy furniture.
Lazy Boy. Long live the lazy.
Until I tried Ninja Transfers, the idea of making a custom t-shirt sounded crazy. But now I've made tees, hoodies, totes, even spandex leggings. I just use my iron and I DIY like a pro. Place it, press it, peel it. That's it. Ninja Transfers makes it so easy. Visit ninjatransfers.com today. Use code TV20 to save 20% right now.
I'm Eric, and I'm a pilot. When I'm congested, I can't breathe, I can't sleep. But I can't tell my passengers I can't fly today. That's why I Navage. I've tried nasal sprays, but with Navage, I have the power to remove congestion fast by flushing out germs, mucus, bacteria, and viruses through powered suction in like 30 seconds. I can see the results. I can feel the results.
This cold season, get #1 doctor-recommended Navage, available online and in store.
Congressman Ro Khanna and Attorney Bradley Edwards are back with us. And Bradley Edwards, with the clients who you represent, victims and survivors of Jeffrey Epstein, many of them now being named for the first time, exposed for the first time because of the way the Trump Justice Department has decided to release what they've released. Is it a deliberate choice by Todd Blanche and the Attorney General and the people working for them, possibly guided by Donald Trump, to release this personal information and release these names so that all of these survivors will be intimidated in any attempt to go forward to get more from this Justice Department?
I don't know the direct answer to that, but it would be interesting to see when this law was passed who emailed or texted who, what directives, so you would know exactly what was being done. It feels to me like an administration, a law was passed against the wishes of of the administration, and that the victims are being caught in a political tug of war in an issue that should not be a political issue. We've said this from the beginning. It's about sex trafficking. Protect the victims, release the files otherwise. It's so simple. The fact that this administration is not just doing it, I think should be troubling to all American people, irrespective of your political party.
Ro Khanna, you gave them several weeks in your law. You gave them several weeks' time to prepare this release. And you would think that if they were going to release it at the very last minute, as they did on the last day, on the deadline, that tiny amount that they released, that they would have done the homework to make the release, at least what they did release, perfect.
Well, they have no regard for the humanity of these survivors. You know, I was shocked by Sarah Fitzpatrick's reporting at The Atlantic that Pam Bondi was supposed to meet with the survivors on the day before the release, and she canceled the meeting. She didn't even meet with them. She hasn't talked to Bradley Edwards. And the reality is they just view these survivors as disposable. These were girls who were from the working class. Sometimes they didn't have a father. They were preyed on by wealthy men. And what the Department of Justice seems concerned about is protecting these rich and wealthy men. They're not releasing the statements of the survivors, the FBI interviews, which show who other rich and wealthy men actually were on the rape island, who abused them. And they're drowning us with legalese. It's not that complicated. We have the survivor statements to the FBI. If they just release them, they protect the victim's identity, and they release them, the American public will know who are the other people involved. And the one document that does say there are 10 other co-conspirators should put to rest this idea that there were not other rich and powerful men involved. We know there were. Just get those names out.
We are perhaps 3 years away from there being a Democratic administration with an Attorney General and a Justice Department that would release everything that these people have not released. Their only option to prevent that will be the destruction of documents for which they would need a Donald Trump pardon after the fact. Bradley Edwards, might we have to wait 3 years to get a real Justice Department working to get this information?
I would hope not. I will say that we are working with a few good-intentioned lawyers at the prosecutors at the Southern District of New York that have started pulling some of the mistakes off for us. So I do think there are good people there that hopefully eventually follow this law. I mean, it's such a simple one to follow. I can't imagine it can be delayed for too long and the victims don't get harmed much more in this process. I really hope we don't have to wait 3 more years. That would be absurd given how simple this process should be.
Congressman Khanna, might it come to that? Might it just have to wait for another president and another attorney general to dig into what this corrupt administration has done?
I certainly hope not, because these survivors have already been waiting decades. And I spoke to Bradley Edwards and some of the survivors today. I mean, some of them are prepared to come back to the Capitol and relive the trauma a third time, which will continue to up the pressure. But the one thing I do think a future Democratic administration will do in addition to releasing whatever wasn't released, is prosecuting people who have violated the law. And people should understand that this is not something that they just comply with Donald Trump's whims or Pam Bondi's whims. They are obstructing justice. If they are releasing names carelessly, that's an obstruction of justice with what the law is. If they are redacting things excessively, they are obstructing justice. If they are hiding documents to protect rich and powerful people, they are obstructing justice. And I certainly believe the next Democratic president should prosecute that.
Carson Rokon, Attorney Bradley Edwards, thank you both very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lawrence.
Thank you. And coming up, Chikondi means love. That's next.
These dishes just aren't getting clean.
Problem isn't your machine. It's likely your detergent. I recommend switching to Cascade Platinum Plus. These new pods dissolve completely and have Dawn, breaking down up to 100% of tough stuck-on foods. Cascade Platinum Plus.
I told myself I was okay with my moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis symptoms.
With my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. But just okay isn't okay.
And I was done settling.
If you still have symptoms after trying Humira or Enbrel, Rinvoq works differently. Rinvoq is a once-daily pill that can rapidly relieve joint pain, stiffness, and swelling, as fast as 2 weeks for some. And even at the 3-year mark, many people felt this relief. Rinvoq can stop joint damage, and in PSA, can leave skin clear or almost clear.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal. Cancers including lymphoma and skin, serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events: infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant, or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Done settling?
Ask your rheumatologist for Rinvoq.
And take back what's yours.
AbbVie could help you save.
Bello was found inside of a shopping bag, severely injured, unable to stand, and completely starving. The cruelty was unimaginable.
When Bello was found, he was likely hours away from death. He was dangerously anemic, meaning his red blood cell count was so low. To walk by him every day and see him lying down because he was starved is the level of cruelty I can't even fathom.
Animals like Bello need your help now. Many are on the brink of survival, injured, starving, and waiting for someone to care. That's why we're asking you to join our special holiday food and supplies drive today. For just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day, you can provide food and medical care to animals who need your help right now. Animals who are facing starvation and cruelty need someone they can count on this holiday season. Join today, go online, call or scan now, and watch your support save lives. Just 63 cents a day provides the meals, the medical care, and the love they need right now. Your support will make all the difference to an animal who's suffering. Join in the next 5 minutes, and we'll send you this free welcome kit and this adorable plush dog.
Seeing a dog like Bello come in was heartbreaking and emotionally devastating. It always upsets me to think that somebody watched him slowly over months decline.
Don't let these animals suffer any longer. Donate today, and we'll work tirelessly on your behalf to provide the meals and the medical care they need. Our holiday food and supplies drive needs more people just like you. So please listen to your heart and take just a minute to help the animals today. Go online, call, or scan the code now.
Vicks VapoStick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors. Easy to apply for the whole family. Vicks VapoStick. And try Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
You might take something for your heart. You might get support for your joints. Or even use something for your digestion. So why wouldn't you take something for the most important part of you? Your brain. People all over the country take Prevagen for their brain. In fact, Prevagen has been the #1 selling brain supplement nationwide for over 10 years. The most important supplement for the most important part of you. Try Prevagen for your brain today.
Mopping is hard work.
Then I tried the Swiffer Power Mop. It has a built-in solution that breaks down dirt on contact. Plus, its 360-degree swivel head cleans up along baseboards and even behind the toilet. Bye-bye, bucket. With the Swiffer Power Mop.
When investing leads to questions, JP Morgan Wealth Management has powerful tools, research from expert analysts, and a single view of your banking and investing accounts right in the Chase mobile app. When you want to take control of your financial future, the answer is JP Morgan Wealth Management.
Kevin Hart is the most famous actor in the world, or at least he's the most famous actor in one high school class in Malawi, where I asked the students who their favorite American actor or actress is last month. There was a long silence. Not a single name was offered until a 16-year-old girl named Chikandi Banda said the name Kevin Hart in a voice so soft that I could barely hear her at first. Oh, Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart, yes, he's great. He's very funny. He's very funny.
That's why.
Yeah, he's very funny. Sorry, everyone else in Hollywood, they've never heard of you. There are a lot of reasons for that, including the fact that there is no electricity in their village, so none of them have screens of any kind. Most of the kids have no possessions at all. Chikandi's greatest treasure are her shoes. The only shoes she has ever owned. And she has those shoes thanks to your generosity to the Kind Fund, the partnership I created with UNICEF that provides scholarships for girls to attend high school in Malawi and provides desks for elementary schools in Malawi that have never had desks. Chikandi receives one of our scholarships, which include her school uniform and her first pair of shoes. I walked home from school with Chikandi that day. She lives with her older brother and her grandmother in the two-bedroom house where her grandmother was born. Chikandi shares a bedroom with her grandmother. So what is your favorite room in your house?
I like this room very, very much because I sleep here.
Your bedroom is your favorite room?
Yeah, because it's where I rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I lay my head.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I like it.
When kids in these houses point to where they sleep, they aren't pointing at beds. They are pointing at the floor. And if they are lucky, they are pointing at a pillow on the floor. This room.
Oh, this is where my brother sleep. Yeah.
Your brother sleeps there?
Yeah, at night he sleep here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that might be your bedroom someday? Do you want to have your own bedroom?
Not like this one.
Mm-hmm. A different one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But you would like to have your own bedroom someday?
So much.
You so much?
Yeah.
Isn't it fun to sleep with your grandmother in that room?
Sometimes I want to sleep alone.
Sometimes you want to be alone. Well, you might want to be alone some more as you get older. You're going to have your own bedroom someday, I know that.
Yeah. Maybe.
And it's going to be a nice one.
Maybe.
You have to be careful when you try to encourage kids in Malawi about what might be in their future. Chikandi knows that her grandmother has never had her own bedroom in that house where the cement walls have big cracks and the roof leaks in rainy season. And so when I suggested Chikandi might have her own bedroom someday, she could only go so far as saying, maybe. Maybe. The only light in these little houses comes from the windows that have no glass and no screens. Chikandi's brother told us that whenever they have a candle, Chikandi can study a little bit later.
Okay, some other times, because we don't have electricity, so we can just buy a candle. We can light up a candle. So whenever she wants to study, she can use the candle. Whenever it lights off, that's the end of studying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a little bit so hard to
She said that you help her with her homework sometimes.
Yeah.
What does she need the most help?
I think it's mathematics.
Mathematics?
Yeah, but other things.
I needed the most help in mathematics too.
Mathematics is the hardest.
Yeah. So that's what I do help her a lot. Yeah, but other subjects, she's good at them.
You can help by going to lastworddesks.ms.now. You can make a contribution in any amount to anyone on your holiday gift list, and UNICEF will send them an acknowledgement of your gift. You can specify that your gift is for desks or for girls' scholarships. Chikandi's grandmother had some advice for her.
osasitha zochita waona anthu abwera apa kuti amene kulipira school fees sinokulipira fees ndineyo yayi koma awanda amene kulipira school fees yofika sukulu usachite nawe chibwana ayi chifukwa ukaphunzira bwino ndiye ndineyo uzandilera mmene ndili panopa ndilibe chilichonse.
Yeah, what she's saying is she's advising Chikondi that she should not be too prideful with school, and she has to use this opportunity so that whenever she gets successfully in this life, she would also help her grandmother to live in a happier life. So that's what she was advising, so that she must concentrate a lot, on her studies.
Chikandi Banda is a very good student with very big dreams. She would like to fly in an airplane someday, and she'd like to visit America someday. And maybe, if she's very lucky, she'll get her own bedroom someday. Chikandi told us what her name means in English. In English, it's love, she said. Chikandi means love.
My world come alive. Hey, hey. I'll be here for you. You'll be there for me. Oh, it feels so good to help somebody. It's nothing but joy. Feeling joy. Joy makes such a beautiful life.
Are you one of the millions of Americans who suffer from an upset stomach after a big meal? Try Pepto-Bismol. Unlike some products, Pepto coats and soothes your digestive system to provide fast 5-symptom relief. Stock up on Pepto today.
Nothing is more important than family. A family you're born into, a family you choose, or a family you make. I'm Padma Lakshmi. I came to this country when I was 4 years old with my mother. We came here because it was a land of opportunity. But for many, that's not the case.
Porque primero me separaron de mi mamá y de ahí de mi hermano.
Immigrant families are being separated. Black and brown families are torn apart by a broken legal system. LGBTQ people suffer discrimination in adoption and healthcare. The need to protect and defend the civil liberties we all hold dear is more urgent than ever, because families belong together. You can help by joining the American Civil Liberties Union today.
Call or go online now and become an ACLU Guardian of Liberty. All it takes is just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day.
The ACLU has fought to allow LGBTQ couples to marry, for racial justice, to stop family separation. We can't do this work without you. Together, we can defend our democracy, ensure liberty and justice for all, and keep families strong.
So please, call the ACLU now or go to myaclu.org. When you use your credit card, you'll receive this special member kit to show you're part of a movement to defend free speech, protect our civil liberties, and keep families together.
I hope you'll join me in supporting the ACLU today, because we, the people, means all of us.
Call or go online to myaclu.org to become a Guardian of Liberty today.
When investing leads to questions, JP Morgan Wealth Management has powerful tools, research from expert analysts, and a single view of your banking and investing accounts right in the Chase mobile app. When you want to take control of your financial future, the answer is JP Morgan Wealth Management.
Until I tried Ninja Transfers, the idea of making a custom t-shirt sounded crazy. But now I've made tees, hoodies, totes, even spandex leggings. I just use my iron and I DIY like a pro. Place it, press it, peel it. That's it. Ninja Transfers makes it so easy. Visit ninjatransfers.com today. Use code TV20 to save 20% right now.
Hey guys, Viagra is not your only option. Rove Sparks act fast and stay active longer. They aren't pills. Sparks dissolve under your tongue to reach your bloodstream for speedy results. Connect with a provider at rove.co/sparks.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
Sur La Table has it all. Even if your idea of la yum 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 is la open the box. Sur La Table, for those who la love to cook in the kitchen.
16-year-old Chikondi Banda gets tonight's last word, and that word is love. The 11th hour with Stephanie Ruhle starts now.
Tonight, awaiting a new release from the Epstein files, the Justice Department is expected to make more evidence public as lawmakers launch accusations of a cover-up and threaten legal action. Then the MAGA civil war, the battle over extremists and conspiracy theorists in the conservative coalition. And a news organization in Trump's crosshairs suddenly shelves a report on deportations. The growing pressure on independent media today as the 11th hour gets underway on this Monday night. Good evening once again. I am Stephanie Ruhle, thrilled to be back with you because we are now 315 days away from the midterms. And tonight we are expecting another batch of Epstein documents to be made public anytime now, as the Justice Department faces mounting backlash after their handling of this situation. Yesterday, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche defended the decision to pull some images from the initial release, including one of President Donald John Trump right off the site, saying that it was due to concerns from the victims and adding that the suggestion that the move had anything to do with Trump himself was, in Blanche's words, laughable. But lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are worried that the White House is slow-walking things and hiding critical information.
They've not shown any deference or respect for the victims at all, for the survivors of this nightmare. And it's all about covering up things that, for whatever reason, Donald Trump doesn't want to go public, either about himself, other members of his family, friends, Jeffrey Epstein.
The administration has struggled for months and months with something they initially ginned up and then sort of tried to tamp down. So any evidence or any kind of indication that there's not a full reveal on this will just plague them for months and months more. So my suggestion would be give up all the information, release it.
House members Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, sponsors of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, are considering holding Attorney General Pam Bondi in inherent contempt for this delayed production. And Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is taking steps to sue the administration over this whole entire rollout. But we need to take a step back and remember why it is important that all of these materials are made public. It's not about lawmakers on the Hill. It is about the women that were harmed and deserve answers. I want to share what just one survivor told MS Now earlier today.
This was meant to be a deadline where we could search and go in and find what we were looking for, and instead we just haven't had it. And it feels intentionally careless. It feels like another way that the system has failed us. We just are trying to get to the truth, and it's all we've been saying from the very beginning, which is why it's so disheartening when we are constantly being talked about in this political way that makes us feel like we are pawns. There are so many issues here that we just need to be seen as human.
With that, let's get smarter with the help of our leadoff panel this evening. Susan Glasser joins us, staff writer for The New Yorker, Peter Baker, chief White House correspondent for The New York Times, and Daniela Diaz, congressional reporter for Notice. Susan, can we just start with what we heard from that Epstein survivor, Danielle Bensky? I don't know how else to see this, but the Justice Department, at the very least, fumbling their basic obligation and opportunity to simply do right by these women.
Yeah, I mean, look, Steph, it's a failure that has, many authors and has been taking place over years and years and years, right? And so now this idea that there was going to be one transformative kind of accountability moment, unfortunately, I have to say that it's not particularly surprising that the Trump Justice Department did not fully comply with this congressional law, that these survivors do not feel that they're being given full and transparent accounting, because they aren't being given full and transparent accounting. But unfortunately, this has become inextricably entwined with politics. It's not going to be detached now. And, it's a crisis for Donald Trump. I compared it earlier to a kind of a chronic illness at this point of his presidency. It's going to keep popping back up because they're never able to fully disclose and to fully give us a real accurate sense of why is it that Donald Trump has worked so hard to keep these documents from the public. I don't have a better answer for that now, frankly, than I did when this erupted as a political controversy this summer when Elon Musk first told us Donald Trump's name was in the files.
Okay, well, then let's turn to Donald Trump himself. And I want to share just a bit of what he had to say when he was asked about the files.
What this whole thing is with Epstein is a way of trying to deflect from the tremendous success that the Republican Party has. Like, for instance, today we're building the biggest ships in the world, most powerful ships in the world, and they're asking me questions about Jeffrey Epstein. I thought that was finished.
Why in the world would it be finished, Peter? The files were due on Friday. We didn't get them all.
It was definitely not going to be finished. I have to say, this was 100% predictable. Even if they had released every single document they had in the files and they had not redacted a single word, there would be people who would not be satisfied and would be suspicious that they were not, in fact, getting everything. Because, in fact, this was a conspiracy that the Trump allies and Trump himself have fomented over the last 6 years since Jeffrey Epstein's death. They have fomented the idea that there was something sinister there. And if they